Hey everyone! In this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about the criticisms that some people have made over the years in regards to certain aspects of the Spider-Man mythos, i.e., the Spider-Verse stuff, the Spider Totem stuff, the Web of Life, Web of Destiny stuff. Look, I understand where you guys are coming from. I 100% do. Part of me feels that way too. But at the end of the day, I do find that stuff to be interesting, fascinating, intriguing, compelling, and at the end of the day, very entertaining. So yes, I do like it personally. But part of me does feel that stuff to be a bit weird and odd. But at the same time, I do like it. I mean, how can I know a lot of people aren't crazy about Morlun. While I'm not the biggest fan of that character, I don't dislike him either. Um, I do find his presence in the Spider-Man mythos to be intriguing. I do find the idea of a vampiric like being trying to hunt down Spider-Man to be entertaining as hell. But as I said, I'm not exactly the biggest fan nor disliker of Moreland. Get what I'm saying? But personally, one of my favorite Spider-Man story arcs is Spider-Man: The Other Evolve or Die, where it featured the multiverse of Spider Totem deity The Other, in which Spider-Man was beaten where Spider-Man was killed and by Mole and resurrected by The Other. Now, I will admit, parts of that did feel weird, but it didn't turn me away. It didn't turn me off. It didn't keep me away from the story. I like the fact that it introduced not only a more science fictional feel to the Spider-Man mythos, but a somewhat of a mystical feel to the character as well, to the lore as well. And that's one of the things that I do like about Spider-Man's lore, that not only there's a science fictional feel, but also a bit of a mystical feel to it as well, and I kind of like that aspect of it. Um, I did like the upgrades he received from that story arc. I increased strength, speed, agility, reflexes, durability, improved healing, where he was able to regenerate from broken bones and large amounts of lost tissue within a couple of hours. Hell, at one point in the story arc, in the other story, Evolve or Die story arc, he regrew tonsils that were pulled out from him when he was like 10 or 12 years old, which is nuts. Night vision, the ability to have a psychological awareness, increased spider sense, increased wall crawling abilities, stickum powers he calls them. There was one point in the story where he was able to stick a girl on his back, a young girl on his back, as if it was body was made out of flypaper. I thought that was so cool. Uh, the ability to sense vibrations and air currents through his hairs, the hairs on his body and on his webbing. Speaking of organic webbing, which I'll actually talk about his organic web abilities later. But And of course, the one thing that turned off a lot of people from that story arc was the stingers. When I was a kid, I loved those damn things. Now as an adult, I'm like, they're whatever. But I do agree they are a bit overkill. Now back to now let me readdress the organic web abilities. He gained those abilities when he encountered the Spider Queen, a very powerful, very dangerous female villainess that has known Captain America since World War II. As a matter of fact, they used to be an item briefly during World War II until Steve dumped her. When he was captured by the Queen along with Captain America, she kissed him, which caused him in later issues to mutate and transform to a giant human-sized spider. Not a man spider, an actual giant human-sized spider. Then he later molted back to his human form, but with upgraded abilities, including the ability to spin and produce organic webbing. Which, I'm not going to lie, I will confess, the idea of Spider-Man Peter Parker having organic webs is a great idea. But at the same time, though, how it was executed was weird and rushed. Weird like how this woman was obsessed with Peter, like she wanted to make him her mate, was weird as fuck. That I will not lie. Plus, it was rushed to the fact that, well, remember, at the time, the only movie adaptation of Spider-Man we had at the time of the storyline's release was the Raimi Spider-Man films with Tobey Maguire. So people were like, Spider-Man's got organic webs in the movies. Give him organic webs in the comics. And I'm like, no, you don't. Like, if he's going to gain, if you're going to do that, do it right and make it a more. If you're gonna give a character a power upgrade, do it more legitimately and execute it properly. And of course, as you guys saw in the Spider-Man Brand New Days, Tom Holland's Spider-Man is getting organic web abilities. I'm actually going to discuss that in another video, which I may do either later tonight or tomorrow, depending upon how I feel, depending upon what goes on in my day. But yeah, so look, as I said, I understand where you guys coming from with the Spider-Verse, Spider Totem, Web of Life, Web of Destiny stuff. I get it. It's weird, it's odd. I do find it weird and odd, but at the same time, I don't hate it. At the end of the day, I do like it. I do find it fascinating. I do find it intriguing. I do find it interesting and entertaining. But I do understand where you guys are coming from. Plus, you gotta understand what the number one thing that has made Spider-Man a fan favorite is his relatability. Spider-Man is arguably one of the most relatable characters in all of comics and fiction. That's why Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, may their souls rest in peace, created a character. For him to not only, they created here to not only for people to root for and feel inspired by, but for also for fans and readers to develop a personal connection with, to relate to in certain aspects. And that's why Spider-Man has been a fan favorite. Yes, I know you do not have to relate to a fictional character in order to like them, but it doesn't hurt to have that added dimension to a character. Because as great as superhero comics were before Spider-Man, readers felt they lacked that dimension. They lacked that aspect. And that's why Stan Lee and Steve Ditko created that character. That's all I have to say. Hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.